Well, guys, if Lazy Purple wants to know how it feels to suffer, the joke is on him because I'm a pyro main. Suffering is what I do. This is how it feels to suffer in SFM. Spooky behind the scenes by Lazy Purple. Let's do it.
You like Halloween, huh? You like using the silly spells in Team Fortress 2? Well, so do I. But isn't Halloween supposed to be scary? Then what's with all this having a good time bullshit?
Yeah, you raised a good point. Halloween should be about suffering. Should be horrible.
Listen, man. For your sake, I hope you don't do it. But if you really want a scary time, drop TF2 for a bit and visit its deranged cousin over in the software section. Source Filmmaker!
I'm scared. What? I'm actually just confused, guys. I mean, from everything anyone has told me, Source Filmmaker is hard to use and hard to learn. Okay, I'm really hoping this is like one of those modern myth found footage videos. You know what I'm talking about? It's like the creepypasta. Creepypastas are my favorite. I love the one about the lost SpongeBob episode that's sort of like horrifying, or the creepypasta about, you know, looking up at the moon. There's so many good creepypastas. Comment below with your favorite creepypastas. Literally, if you can post them in the comments, I'll be all about it. But if you can just reference them, that'd be cool too.
This program haunts me in my dreams, and I know it's trying to kill me! But the amount of glitches I experienced while making How It Feels to Play Engineer, I'm telling you, this shit's possessed! Gather round, all of you. This Halloween, I've a frightful story for you. The story of the time I had to add the Wrangler to a Source Filmmaker scene!
Oh my god, they didn't tell me there were so many jump scares.
My story starts with a prayer. Please, Valve, please update Source Filmmaker so that it doesn't use a 2008 version of TF2! Why do you curse me to manually animate things as simple as picking up engineer buildings and using the Wrangler?
Wait, engineer cannot pick up buildings in 08? Jesus, 08 was a dark time. The economy was in shambles, okay? That's it. The economy was in shambles. We were all broke. Unemployment, 25%. America was on the precipice of disaster. And we had 2 wars going on. There was no hope. And Valve couldn't even be bothered to make Engie pick up his buildings.
But they only responded with Dota Counter-Strike. I didn't understand. So onwards I pressed to manually animate the Wrangler. The Sentry Shield is simple enough, it's its own model. But this god-forsaken laser! This laser has stolen so many hours of my life that I'll never get back! How, you ask? Listen to my tale of woe. I began by importing the laser, but alas! It was pink! That's not right. It needs to be red. So I googled.
I would 100% just go with the pink laser. I am so lazy. If you've noticed my efforts to edit anything, you realize that I am someone who believes in form over function over form. Right? You design the thing that functions the way you want it to, and then usually you're supposed to like make it aesthetically pleasing after that. I usually just skip the second part. So, you know, Frank Lloyd Wright said form follows function. I'm just function. Moving on.
How to color it. Turns out that it's controlled by what I like to call Source Spaghetti. But first, a quick explanation. This is a control point. It represents a point in space and can be used to move and rotate objects. Particles usually have very simple control points. Medic's beam has 2 control points, one for where the beam starts and one for where it ends. However, the Wrangler laser has this 3rd control point.
Ah, man, so many jump scares. This is like Saw. This is like Saw for animators, okay?
That controls its color? And this is where the Source Spaghetti starts. This control point's positional X, Y, and Z coordinates correspond to the laser's red, green, and blue values using a scale of -255 to +255.
What?
Which necessitates the equation x times 2 minus 255, where x is the RGB value that you want. What? You didn't get that? That's because it makes no fucking sense!
Jesus, it would be easier to literally just like hand draw NG's laser, like some sort of like the really old school 60s animated effects. You know what I'm talking about? Where you'd have a live movie, but there would be these like super janky animations done over top it. It'd be like a guy shooting a ray gun, pew, but then everyone would freeze. The beam of the ray gun would clearly be hand drawn coming out of the ray gun and zapping someone else, and then the animation would not quite line up. So like the beam would hit them, and then 2 frames later they would go, ah!
And even if you don't get it, I got it. However, no matter what I did with Control Point 2, the laser's color never changed! Well, I said, this isn't my first rodeo. Surely I can fix this in a jiffy. But how wrong I was. Firstly, I went into the particle editor to see if there was a color value in there. Eureka! There was! But no matter what you do to it and its surrounding values, nothing happens. Then I wondered, just a moment, the laser is pink. And when a texture is missing in source, the default replacement is pink and black. Maybe the particle's texture is missing or broken. So I asked all throughout town if someone could please lend me their version of every file related to this laser. I imported them into my directory and it was still pink! By then, I was banging my head against my keyboard and finally decided that it's time to concede and verify the integrity of the game cache. Reinstall the whole program and deal with all the bugs that causes. But even then, it was still pink.
Guys, would anyone have judged Lazy if it was pink? Would it have made it even marginally less watchable? No. He probably could have just made a joke about it and then moved on.
At this point, I couldn't help but think, ha! All this wasted time being a perfectionist when I could just use a different laser. So I installed this custom laser from the workshop that is supposed to be a Star Wars blaster. It's a model instead of a particle, so it took a while to customize it. It doesn't look great, but it works, right? Wrong! When the camera looks at the laser from certain angles, it just disappears! Then I tried using this laser particle, and I don't even remember what happened with this one, but I assure you it didn't work! So we're back to this laser. After brainstorming with other SFM villagers, I imported the laser into a different map and realized, what the fuck? Why is it blue on this map? And that's when it hit me. Every map has a different default point where things load in when they have no other point of reference. You can see here that Badwater's default point is somewhere below Red Team's spawn. It has no
What?
rhyme or reason. The Wrangler laser has been loading in and using the default point on the map for its Control Point 2 value. It's a different color on every map, but it doesn't change no matter what I do. So I figured, alright, my program is successfully reading the Control Point 2 value, but just not changing it. Alax friend, can you please take my SFM project, move Control Point 2 to make the laser red, and then send it back to me? He promptly sent me this in response.
Oh my god. Ah! Yeah, listen, there's gotta be... I can't believe, honestly, that SFM is still the default. It just feels like that this is a terrible way of doing animation. I mean, when I was a kid, there was some really janky program called like Microsoft Filmmaker. No, not the good one. It had, or like 3D Animator or something, but it had all these preset figures and you could have them run through preset actions, but you could also dump objects into the world and animate them. It was very simple and very intuitive and actually very, very good because it rendered 3D spaces in an appropriate way. There is absolutely no reason, and me and all my friends at probably 10 were able to successfully use this program. I'm saying this because there's no reason Source Filmmaker should be this hard.
That's right, his computer couldn't even handle the project, so he had to make a new project that was just the laser on Badwater, which I then had to import into my project, which is its own scary, unintuitive process. But finally, here we are. It works, despite reinstalling the program, despite verifying—
This is horrific. For a pink is almost red. I'm gonna break your heart. LazyPurple, I'm colorblind. I can barely distinguish between those two different lasers. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking the army surely would not have let you in being colorblind. Listen, guys, in 2008 or 2009 when I went on active duty, they were checking for a pulse, and even that was negotiable.
the game's cache, despite replacing the particle files outright. My Control Point 2 is just irreversibly broken. My theory, there's a ghost in my machine. But hey, at least it worked eventually, right? But that's not the only thing I had to do manually. Once a sentry gun is placed, it stops being a gameplay object and just becomes part of the scene. That means that I have to manually control its shooting, which
Oh, God.
means manually adding each individual muzzle flash. That's right, I had to copy and paste like 50 sets of these muzzle flashes and then manually tell the program, this muzzle flash occurs 1/20th of a second later, and this muzzle flash occurs another 20th of a second later, and this muzzle flash occurs another 20th.
Wow, this is so tedious. I can see now why LazyPurple took that year off to focus on his mental health. I'm traumatized just by watching this.
Another, this muzzle flash occurs another, this muzzle flash occurs another. Then, after doing that, I have to lock each particle to the barrels of the sentry gun individually. Truly nothing comes for granted in this program. You'd think that adding Uber charge would be a simple process, but it isn't. The default Uber in SFM is broken for some reason and always flashes like it's about to end. So you have to go download some cube map fixes. Thank you so much, SFM community, and put those in the right directory. Looks good to me, but what about the weapons? And the hats? Huh? That's right, you have to manually change every single model's material that you want to be Uber charged. And sometimes
This is, guys, if you wonder why AAA studios need this much time to resolve their issues, this is what we're talking about. Things interact in ways that are difficult for anyone to comprehend, and it's really, really, really a tremendous pain in the ass to resolve. And when you break one thing, something else gets broken. So imagine doing this literally from like base code or like a base engine. It's pretty easy. It's pretty hard to make it all work. And this is from a very stable game from 2008 or 7.
it doesn't even work! Not only is this a time-consuming process, it's semi-permanent. Since you're actually changing the files themselves, scary, you have to be super careful or else you'll be asking yourself later on, why the hell is this pyro like half Ubered here? See these buildings? They're not actually in Source Filmmaker for some.
This seems like one of those problems you do to yourself. Why not just use a base pyro character for the entire scene? Right? This is one of the things that sort of is why solo projects can be so weird, is because individuals, we often get what's called tunnel vision, right? Especially when we're stressed or anxious, we become fixated on a single problem or a single solution to that problem. And sometimes the best strategy is just to put everything down and circle back to it and say, what is going to give me the 85% solution? The answer may have been with this, instead to go back and say, we're just going to have a base pyro that looks appropriately Ubered, and in subsequent videos, we're going to give them hats and stuff.
For some reason, they're like ghost buildings or something. I had to manually add replacement buildings myself. Nothing comes for granted in this program. But you want to get really scared this Halloween? Imagine rendering a scene you've slaved over for hours, and it comes out like this. If you ever want to get into SFM, my friend, please remember the acronym ABAF. All beards are fucked. Something.
Right. Why even have a beard? Also, I'm here to tell you, that's why you keep your beard short, man. A long beard like that is very hard to maintain. Food gets in it, oils get in it, it's hard to clean. It's hard to clean the skin under the beard. It's really, really irritating. And having these bizarre beards is just a pain. And I say that as someone with a beard.
The thing about the way these things are textured doesn't mix well with SFM. Usually there's a fix for these beards on the workshop, but I guess not enough people use the grizzled growth? Anyway, at complete random, the beard will become some crazy neon color. And you want to know something funny? It uses the same color as the Wrangler laser uses via the map's default point. Isn't that funny?
Oh man, poor. He's like the Brendan Fraser of SFM animators, just screwed at every step. Actually, that's not funny.
So what was my solution? Ha! Simple, really. if I render out the glitched frames individually, one at a time, manually, the beard is fine. Sounds simple if not time-consuming. Let's see how many I had to do. 462 individually rendered images just to fix this beard in one scene! And sometimes it's not even consistent. Here you'd think that the color is based on the beard's position, but look at this shit! It's blue in this camera, but green in this camera! Eventually, my friend, I could take no more, and I just asked the guy who fixed the Allfather if he could fix the grizzled growth, which he did! The moral of this scary beard story is, please!
Just stop. Just take out the beards. If it's buggy, you can just ignore it. You're not a AAA game dev. No, not nobody. People are here for your funny SFMs, sure, but they're mostly here for you, man. They're not gonna hate you if your SFM guys don't have a beard. Like, I hope you have a therapist that he talked to about this. I don't know why I'm addressing LazyPurple directly, but my wife is a psychiatrist, and I do these things too. I get into these toxic thought patterns that say that everything has to be perfect and just so, or else like the linchpin will all fall apart. And there's this sense that we have that if we don't fully understand why we're successful, that we don't really deserve it, and we're just one slip up away from having everything we've built topple over. And that's not true. That's like a disastrous thinking. It's sort of like saying, what if Jeff Bezos wakes up tomorrow and Amazon will be worthless? I actually think he probably has that fear, even though you and I know there is 0% chance that that will occur, right? So I think it's really worth saying that, you know, we're here for the whole LazyPurple experience. The SFMs are pretty funny and they're pretty good, but like, you could have done it without the beard if it was being a pain in SFM. You could have had the laser be pink if it was being a pain in SFM. Like, SFM should work for you. You don't work for SFM.
Don't be afraid to ask people for help! Oh, but friend, I've scary stories to spare. Look at this scene. Simple, right? Well, this is what it used to look like! These lights are Satan! They have caused an issue in every video. For the spy video, I spent a full 10-hour day trying to get rid of these lights that would bleed through all the walls. After that day, I knew not to ever try anything with these demon-possessed lights. But in this scene, I had to. I used a program to remove literally every light from the map, and you won't believe it! These lights are Satan! Eventually, a villager from the SFM Discord discovered that you just have to type ent_fire space env_lightglow space kill in console. What does that even mean? I'm certain that a ghost has possessed my...
This is okay. There's an old saying that advanced enough technology will be indistinguishable from magic. And I think actually there is some truth to that, right? This is an instance in which he doesn't fully understand why something is happening. He just knows he has to give a certain incantation and that will make things okay. This is unfortunately often how the military engages with technology. There aren't that many people that understand fully the technology they're dealing with, but instead simply follow fixed processes in order to do maintenance. They're not really sure why they have to do A and B and then C and then D. They just know that if they don't, something else will break in the system, and that somewhere in the depths of the DoD contracting thing is someone who understands the whole system, but it's not them. That is a dangerous way to run a society, right? It's a brittle way to organize a system. But again, it's sort of like it's as complicated as it needs to be.
My computer, but it doesn't always make itself obvious. Sometimes the glitches are small, like the time that this blood decal's position didn't update when I played the video forward, but it worked when I played the video backward.
This is like the Satanic Panic videos where someone played a Led Zeppelin record backward and believed that there were satanic messages hidden inside the record, and that by playing them backwards, somehow those messages would be internalized in a kid's subconscious. It's not clear on why they believed our brain's subconscious heard messages backwards, and even if we did, that we would internalize those messages as being true.
And then sometimes when I render something, every other frame becomes a blue mess. Definitely a ghost. And half the time I import a custom map, Source Filmmaker just breaks all its lighting. Classic ghost stuff. This one is fixable, but when even the guy making the tutorial says,
"This is the Hammer editor, and
Oh god, you know it's bad when you have to turn to unregistered hypercam and guys talking in their empty office into a headset mic for help.
honestly terrifies me. I can't do anything with this."
I can't say it makes me very hopeful. Of course, the program does make my life easier sometimes. Spline curves are pretty good at automating some animations, but other times they put the spirit of the devil into my characters.
Add spline curves.
Oh my god, call the exorcist! Look at this sentry. I just want it to go from this to this. A 180-degree turn. It's simple. But for some reason, the program thinks that the most efficient way to do this is a freaking backflip! Thank you, demon! Get out of my sentry gun! Thankfully, the program
Some of these are much funnier. They would have been so much funnier. Also, I mean, like we've talked about with the Gary's mod early videos, the janky animation was part of what made people love them.
The built-in stress reliever. Whenever I find myself getting exhausted, I just move the character's pelvis to the beat of whatever music I'm listening to for endless entertainment.
This is very soothing.
Truly countless hours have gone
That is soothing. I'm feeling more relaxed already.
into trying to fix every single little mistake and glitch in all of my videos, but since you've made it to the end of this video, I think I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. There's a mistake in the engineer video, and it will probably ruin your entire perception of it. In this scene where I build a mini sentry on this scout, I don't have the gunslinger equipped in the SFM animation! Ah! Hey, it's me. I have a t-shirt now. You can find a link to it in the description. I also now have a secondary channel, so please subscribe to that as well.
Whoa, there's a secondary channel called LazyPurple? Holy shit. I had no idea, guys. No idea. You should subscribe to that. I should subscribe to that, frankly. I had no idea that LazyPurple had that. And I also had no idea that SFM was so incredibly difficult. And maybe him peeling back the curtain is one of the reasons commenters are able to tell me that SFM is frighteningly non-user friendly. Okay, guys. Well, this was fun. Comment down below if there's videos you want me to check out, or if there's fun LazyPurple videos. And thanks again, as always, to our Lieutenant tier patrons, Cole Foster, Caffeinated, Chris, Command Unit, and Jakob Flavius. If you want to get access to exclusive content, an exclusive room on the Discord, and generally support me, check out patreon.com/combatvetpaul.